You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, first day of June 2022. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here or right now. We do a live broadcast twice a day, every trading day. The first live broadcast is for members only and those who are taking their 1 week free trial. That's from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We then take a 30-minute break and we come back at 12 noon Eastern and we do a broadcast that's open to the entire world. Now, there's two ways to join the afternoon broadcast. The best way is to go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds. That will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. The way it works is you get an email right before the show starts, and you simply click the link in the email, and it logs you in automatically. You don't have to fill anything else out. It's the best way to join because it gives you access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, of course, there'll be days that you're out of your office, away from your desktop. Not to worry. Just grab any internet connected device and point it to youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast the afternoon show on YouTube each and every day, we also archive each and every show. Currently, there are over 2,000 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Again, there's currently over 2,000 live broadcasts archived, and about a month ago, Spotify began to archive our afternoon broadcast. So thank you, Spotify, and thank you, YouTube. So let's open with a word of prayer, as we do. Now, Mother's Day has come and gone, and Father's Day is around the corner. Today I'm led to pray for the mothers, not only the ones in our audience, but all over the world, and many grandmothers who have had to take over the role as mother because, well, some people have problems, and grandmas are always great to step in and take control and take over and do things right. I'm only concerned really about the this generation. We had the grandmothers to fall back on because the mothers couldn't do the job for whatever the various reasons are, from the legal system to substances of who knows what. So who's the next generation going to fall back on? I don't have the answer, but it's on my heart. Our scripture is Proverbs 31:28 through 29. It says, "Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all." Now, one thing I know is that when a woman sees those 2 lines on a pregnancy test, that woman's life is changed forever. The journey of pregnancy and carrying a child or children in the womb leads to the first meeting at birth, roughly 9 months later. The difficulties faced during pregnancy change to new challenges of raising and taking care of a child in this sin-filled world. Motherhood is a blessing. It is a calling. It is a sanctifying process. Just like Jesus loved and honored his earthly mother, Mary, we are to honor our mothers and show gratitude for the love and the sacrifices they have made. My mother's gone. My grandmother's gone. My dad's gone. My only brother, gone. I'm the end of the line for the Reeves family. So if your mother's still around and your grandmother's still around, make sure you spend as much quality time with them as you possibly can. Today's verse reminds us that God values mothers. He blesses them. He honors them. We acknowledge that many women struggle to have physical children or never married. However, we are called to invest as mothers into the next generation. Whether it's a biological mother or a spiritual mother, all women who are pouring out their lives for the sake of the gospel to children are mothering, and we are grateful for their service of love. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, I praise you for the reminder that you value mothers. Thank you that children rise up and call their mothers blessed. Even when moms do mundane and often unseen tasks, help them to remember that they are always recognized and noticed by you. Thank you that even if not in the moments of discipline or the no's, mothers have to get real good at saying no, so do fathers, so that eventually children grow up and realize the protection, care, and support that they receive from healthy parents. Thank you for those who recognize mother figures in their lives, for those whom we are able to mentor and train up in the ways of God, for the spiritual children you have entrusted to us. Thank you for purpose in raising up the next generation of believers. Thank you for valuing and honoring women who are unable to physically carry babies, but step in other ways like ministries, adoption, fostering, and mentoring. You are the God over every story, and you give us purpose in life. And for those of you that have been a part of CFRN for a long time, you all know about the fact that my wife and I, we did not have our own children. God did lead us to fostering, to adopting children from a close family friend. And we built an orphanage in Africa where there's 750 kids. So however God uses you in that position, never lessen yourself because you weren't able to physically carry a child to term. And God, we thank you for the husbands who work alongside the mothers to parent and model healthy relationships for our children. Thank you, God, for the men who love and honor mothers so beautifully, who speak highly of their wives and model your love in the home. Thank you for supporting and being a husband to the single mother who works so hard to raise her kids and love them well. You value her and walk the journey with her. You care for her every need. Lord, we pray over mothers to realize their great worth today, that in moments of chaos, their souls find rest in you, that in the tiredness of parenting, They can be refreshed by your presence. That in the moments of tears and pain, they can remember that you catch their tears in a bottle. Help them to see that they are valued and have a beautiful calling in this life. Enable their lives to overflow with gratitude and joy. Give them wisdom and boundaries and clarity in decision making. Help mothers not to stay isolated, but to press into the community, giving them your grace for themselves and for their children. Thank you for entrusting mothers with the mission of teaching their children about Jesus' salvation plan and witnessing to the next generation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And everybody said amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, guys, let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. A little different color today. The Dow down 378 points. It's over 1%. NASDAQ down 175, 1.5%. S&P 500 down 57, 1.75%. And the Russell 2000, our man in the street, down 30 points, a little over 1.5%. And we're pulling back to that daily BBC. We'll get into that later in the show as we go through the charts. Crude oil is up $1.44 today, trading 116.11 last. It's a gain of 1.25%. Gold is down $2.60, trading 18.40.10 last. Silver is actually up 15 cents, trading 21.84 last, 0.75%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 178 points. The Shanghai fell 4 points. The Hang Seng dropped 120 points. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 74, 1%. The DAX down 47. The CAC down 49. So that gives us a mixed day in Asia, a red day in the UK, and so far it is a big red Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll come back, we'll look at the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and if at any point during the broadcast you have a question, just type it into the question box. We'll be happy to answer it for you. Michael, it's all yours.
Okay, let me grab it here. I was doing a quick Ninja Trader fix, but I'll bring it over right now. Here it comes. Okay.
Okay. I can see it.
All right.
It's all
Let me
yours.
bring this up. Here we go. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday, the first day of June, 2022. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. On this page, all that we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and be sent to confirmation link. You must click on that confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so make sure you click on that link. Okay. All right. The spreadsheet. Well, today is the first day of a new month, so there's not really as much to go over in the spreadsheet. But today is 6/1/22. Made 65 ticks in crude, 14 ticks in gold, and 13 ticks on the ES. Put us at 952.5 on the morning session. Today, again, it took a little while to get the goal, and I screwed up on the first trade of the day, just like I did yesterday. And it was gold again. I didn't realize how bad I had messed it up until I went back and did a minute in time. But anyway, I managed to get it all back. It took 25 minutes and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up 302.50, and I took a total of 31 trades this morning. So it was a busy morning. So on the first day of the month, we're now at 952.5, and we have now gone 165 days since our last negative day. And we have gone 104 days so far this year, 104 out of 104 possible days this year getting our goal. So on the year now at $113,051, and that is over 104 days, averaging $1,087 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've never been averaging over $1,000 per day this far into the year. That is unusual, guys. These are unprecedented times. Let me just fix that number. Okay, so if you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day and you were to add 1 contract a month, you would now be up to 6 contracts. And if you quit trading when you got your goal for the day, then you would have only had to work so far this, and added 1 contract a month. You would have only had to work so far this year 14.88 hours, and you would have averaged $2,926 per hour. Okay, so like this morning took 25 minutes, and with 6 contracts on, it would have been $1,815 for those 25 minutes. Okay, now you can see how these numbers go up as you add more contracts moving on into the year. They're done at the end of the year this year. These numbers down here are going to be really big. When we have 12 contracts, 12 contracts times, if we just get the goal for the day on a 20-day month, it should be $24,000 or something like that. If we just get the goal for the day on every day, say averaging 20 business days per month, that'd be 20 times 100 times 12. So that's what it should be on the month at the end of the at the end of the year. Now, what it actually ends up being, if we go look at the last month of last year, hang on, what month are we at here? Oh, that was the middle of last year. Okay, the last month of last year. Hang on. Here we go. This is the last month of last year. Okay, so the last month of last year, well, if you add 24 to this number right here, okay, it would have been 94. So if we would have just gotten $100 per contract per day, and it were only 20 days, it was actually 21 days, and we did more than that. It looks like we got about $110 average per contract per day on the month, getting the goal. But anyway, what I was trying to illustrate for you is that the further you get along in the year, the bigger the increases are going to be. Trading the same amount of time, getting the same amount per contract on a given day. It's just going to be a bigger amount at the end of the month. Okay, anyway, let's get into what we did do. Okay, we had a bunch of trades today, so let me just jump right into it. We'll get into gold to begin with. I'll show you the trade that I screwed up on gold. It was right here. Now, I had thought I was fussing with myself because I had thought I didn't move my stop to break even fast enough right here. But then when we did a moment in time, I came back and I looked at every trade that we did. And in this particular case, right here, I shouldn't have traded at all. I took a momentum trade, and right here is where I entered. It went 3 ticks into profit. I should have bumped my stop to break even. It came back and stopped me out. And then I was saying how good of a trade this one was, even though I stopped out on this one because I didn't move my stop fast enough. It pulled back and it hit the BBC and gave the highest probability trade right here. Bounce off the BBC, the MA1's red, color is blue, cycle's blue, good separation. Highest probability trade. I should have got my goal for the day on that very first trade. But no, I jumped on this trade, and this wasn't even a valid trade. The slingshot down here was not right. So I deserve to get stopped out on that one. Not moving the stop fast enough. That was just one more reason not to be successful in that trade. But anyway, I stopped that on the first trade. Then I got 1 tick here. That put me at -7. Then I picked up 20 ticks there. That put me at +13. Got 1 more tick here. That put me at +14. I missed a nice trade there. This is when we had the moment in time. I thought it was going to go down. This was right in here, and I thought it was going to go down from there and then move back up. These were the levels I thought it was going to go down into, and it pretty much did what I thought it was going to do. But I really didn't want to trade anything. That's what I thought it would do, but I didn't think it was a good time to trade. We had another break-even trade in there, and then that was it. During the break, let's just show you the highest probability trade setups. There were none during the break. Okay, there were trades, but no highest probability trades. All right, now crude oil. Our first trade on crude was right here. We picked up 1 tick on that. We had a break-even trade in here. And it looks like we missed a trade right there that had a nice move. Another trade right there, and another trade right there. I missed 3 trades in a row right there. I don't know what I was doing at that time. I think I was probably licking my wounds with the gold trade. But I missed all of those, and I had a break-even trade there. Then we picked up 20 ticks right here. That put us at 21. Then we stopped out, put us back down to 13. Then we picked up from 13 to 17, so we picked up 4. And then from 17 to 22, so we picked up 5. Then you see it was getting to all these numbers I was putting in here. I just ended up missing the follow-up trades. I get that one and that one, then I missed that one, and this was the moment in time. In here, I thought it was going to get choppy in here, go up a little bit, come down, and eventually go down, ultimately go down from right here. And it did eventually go down, but I thought it was going to go down sooner. It went up a little higher than I thought it was going to, but it gave another trade setup that was a valid trade in there. It gave a trade setup in here that was a valid trade. And I believe at the time we were building this bar right here, I think, this white bar right here. And I was saying that that's actually a long trade. I think that's what we're building. It might have been in here that we're building a bar. But anyway, it gave a valid trade, and then it gave another valid trade right after it. And then it turned around and gave a few short trades. All this time I was talking in here. And then over here we picked up another trade. Now, we had gone, here we picked up 4, then we picked up 5, so we were at 22. Then we went from 22 to 37. So we had a 15 tick trade. That doesn't look like 15 ticks, but anyway, we had a 15 tick trade. Then we had a break even, another break even, and another break even. And then we picked up from 37, we went to 49. I'm thinking I missed a couple things in here because this looks like a big trade. And the next one we went from 49. I went from 37 to 49. Okay, so I think that's what happened here. We went from 37 to 49, then went from 49 to 52, picked up a few ticks. Then 52 to 63, so this was another few ticks in here. Yeah, okay, this is stuff that I took that I didn't put down and stuff that I didn't put down. Anyway, here I believe is where we got up to 49, then we got up to 52, then we got up to 63, and then we got up to 65. I remember this one right here, I believe, was 14 ticks. Or was it 11 ticks? I don't know. I remember saying this was the target and we're going to go down there, and I took it and got to the target. We had that one and this one over here. The last one that I got was plus 2 ticks, at least the last one that I wrote down. I believe that was it right there. We got plus 2 ticks. During the break, just the highest probability trades. There were some very high probability trades on this run up right through here, but there were not highest probability trades. Highest probability, there was 1 right here. And 1 right here. And 1 right here. And 1 right here. So every highest probability trade worked out. That was not quite 1. If it were 1, it would have been a break even. And that was crude oil. We ended up with plus 65 on crude. Okay, now the ES. We started out on the ES right in here. First trade, we picked up 5 ticks. The second trade, we picked up 8 ticks. So we're at plus 13 at that point. At that point, we're at plus 13. There we're at +1 on crude, then we're at -8 on gold, and then we picked up 21 ticks on the crude, and that's where we got that large number for the goal for the day. So we were very close to getting the goal for the day. We're at 87.50, I think, is where we were, something like that. But anyway, once we got this is where we got the goal for the day, and we had a break even right in here. I'm sorry, where we got the crude trade is where we got the goal for the day. We had a break even trade in here. At this point, we're up 13 on the ES. Now there were some more trades through here that I had missed. This is where we did the moment in time. I thought it was going to go up. It had these couple of levels here that it looked like it was going to go into, and ultimately I thought it was going to go down right here. That's why I drew the big arrow down, and it did go right down to the weekly trading zone. Kind of stuck there for a little bit, went back up, pulled away from it. Did give a highest probability short right there, back down into it. Got down below it and gave some more short trades down here. Not highest probability trades, but more short trades. There was one more highest probability short right here. Okay, and I'm looking for any more highest probability trades that triggered in here. We had a break even in there. A stop out here. Now at this point, we went from 13 back down to 5. Here we picked up 8 ticks. We went from 5 back to 13. Then we had a break even right there. I mean, ES was hitting all the numbers that we were seeing pretty well. We had a break even. I'm not a break even trade. We had a break even trade over here. We had a mistrade there and a mistrade there. This was a highest probability short that I didn't get filled on. This right here was also a highest probability short that I didn't get filled on. This was a highest probability long that I didn't do. Break even, then we get into the break. Now during the break, just the highest probability longs and shorts. We did do one more trade right here. This was a highest probability short that I did right at the end of the session. I said it was going to go down here to 86, and I did actually take that and get down to 86 with it, but I didn't count it this morning. We looking for highest probability trades only. Right here, highest probability long, worked out. Right here, highest probability long, worked out. Right here, highest probability short, would have been a break even probably. And that was it, the highest probability trades. Okay, so look in the question box. I don't see any questions. So we'll go back to the spreadsheet. Now, if you are going to look at the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the first day of June 2022. We made 65 ticks in crude, 14 ticks in gold, and 13 ticks on the ES. Put us at 952.50 on the morning session. Today it took 25 minutes and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up 302.50, and we took a total of 31 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're at 952.50. That is our first trading day. So we're averaging 952.50 on the month per day. Now I've gone 165 days since my last negative day, and so far this year, 104 out of 104 possible days of getting the goal, putting us at $113,051 and averaging $1,087 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Okay. If you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day and you were to add 1 contract per month, so far this year you would have worked 14.88 hours, and you would have averaged $2,926 per hour. So that's adding 1 contract per month is where you would have gotten to with all that. All right. Now, one of these days I'm going to do a little bit more math for you and say, if you added 1 contract per month and you just kept trading like I did, what your average hourly rate would have been, because it's a lot more hours. Okay. And it's not necessarily going to be a lot better hourly rate than that. I guess that's a point that we should probably make at some point. Maybe I'll get that done by tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. And on this page, all that we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us to be a training challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. you must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so make sure you click on that link. All right? All right. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, sir. I am ready.
Excellent.
There we go. And there we go. All right, recap of the recap.
Today it took 25 minutes and 10 trades to get to 302.50.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
So guys, you've probably noticed that these last few days have been a little more challenging, not only in the live training room, but with the alerts, because of the way the market is behaving. It starts a move, and then it stalls, then it picks the move back up, and then it stalls or retraces. It's just not your typical behavior. So what do? We trade what's in front of us. Michael gets his goal for the day, and all is right with the world. Now, before we get into headlines and the charts and all the other stuff, I want to talk to you about the Cfrn Passport, which is unlimited, unfettered, all access to everything we do, everything we've ever done, and everything we do in the future. Now, we've always talked about Cfrn as a family, okay? And when you become a passport holder, you become a lifetime member of that family. But today I want you to think about it maybe just a little bit differently. If you've not yet become a passport holder, for the cost of the passport, you're not just gaining access to the live training room every day, the unlimited one-on-one mentoring, the methodology, which works across all markets and time frames, the indicators, which works across all markets and time frames, the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the workshops on Thursday night. I want you to think about it like this. You're hiring a team of people who have spent the majority of the last 15 plus years dedicated to trading and teaching people how to trade. Now, if you've ever owned your own business, okay, you know how expensive it is to hire an employee. But when you become a passport holder, you're not only becoming a part of the Cfrn family, but you're hiring a team of trading professionals, trading experts, okay, who can make your learning curve much shorter. Many of you have already spent a lot of time and a lot of treasure trying to figure out this business of trading. But in most cases, you are buying a thing. When you become a passport holder, we have things like indicators and one-on-one mentoring and our strategy and our live training room, but you're actually hiring a staff for a one-time payment. Passport's $5,000. To be exact, it's $49.97. Now, as I've said many days recently, you can find gurus on the internet who will sell you, self-proclaimed gurus, who will sell you an hour of their time for the cost of the passport. And I have no doubt that you will learn some great things during that hour. However, after a couple days go by and you start to have questions about what you were taught, if you want more time, well, you got to cut another check. When you hire us to teach you our methodology, our strategy, how to read the charts, how to read the indicators, okay? You're not hiring us for an hour or a week or a month, it's lifetime membership. So go back, if you've ever been a business owner, and think about how much you paid to hire and invested in hiring just even one employee. But with CFRN, you not only get me, you get Michael, you get Valerie, you get Bert, and you get all of the other members of the CFRN family who are happy to talk with you, discuss with you, and help you in our Telegram discussion channels. You can get support literally around the clock because we have traders around the world. So our day session is their night session and vice versa. That's why the logic alerts come out around the clock to compensate for that. And so no matter what time you sit down to trade based on the time zone that you live in, there's almost always another one of our traders out there trading at the same time. And if you type a question into the discussion group, you'll most likely get an answer, even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. Eastern when London opens. So there's an awful lot that comes behind that Cfrn Passport logo. And I just wanted to point that out. Okay, we're going to go through some headlines. I'm still waiting on the recap from Valerie. I know she's working fiercely to get it done. Valerie, there's no rush. I'm going to go through the headlines, and when you have it ready, you can just send it over. The United States is sending advanced medium-range rocket systems to Ukraine. The most significant weapons that President Biden has sent since the start of the war. Ukraine has long pushed for the U.S. to provide the high mobility artillery rocket system, which can fire satellite-fired rockets, despite concerns in Washington that Russia would see that as a provocation. Biden said in a guest essay in the New York Times that the latest aid would help Ukraine fight on the battlefield and be in the strongest possible position at the negotiating table. The rockets will give Ukraine the capability of attacking beyond the current reach of its artillery. Biden and other administration officials stressed that the weapons would help Ukraine to defend its own territory, not to attack Russia. I think that's a good thing. Now, one thing that I knew, it was hidden in the deep recesses of my mind, but I was reminded of it last night. President Zelensky, president of Ukraine, who knows what he did for a job before he became president? You're going to think I'm making this up. He was a stand-up comedian, a very good one. And he decided to run for office, and he got elected. Google it, verify it, it's a true story. Now, am I downgrading him as president because of his previous career? Not at all. Imagine Seinfeld as president. He might have done a pretty good job. Zelensky, I know he has skeletons in his closet, but he seems to be pretty transparent at this point. And unlike the leaders of other nations, when they're being invaded, when they're being attacked, there's a private jet on the runway, and there's suitcases filled with cash, and cargo boxes filled with gold and silver and anything of value. And those leaders beat feet out of that country before they get taken out. Zelensky could have done that, but he didn't. He chose to stand up with the people of Ukraine, and that's no joke. The Uvalde Independent School District Police Force and Uvalde Police Department have stopped cooperating with Texas state officials investigating last week's deadly shooting at Robb Elementary School. ABC News reported Tuesday, citing multiple law enforcement sources. A spokesman from the Texas Department of Public Safety said Uvalde police have been cooperating, but the school district police chief has not responded to a request for a follow-up interview made 2 days ago. Police have faced intensifying criticism over their response. I mean, we already know so many things were said that just flat out weren't true. State officials also said yesterday that a teacher who was blamed with leaving a door propped open as she ran out to her car to get her cell phone and then had the bravery to go back into the school, which, since this disturbed young man was out there shooting his rifle at the school, the safest place at the time was probably for her to run back into the school. Now, they claim that she left the door open and that's how he gained entry. Well, now the story, which is ever changing, that the teacher did not leave the door propped open as initially reported, but the door didn't automatically lock behind her as designed, allowing the 18-year-old attacker to use it to enter the school. So do you see the blame shift here? Okay, from the teacher, from the school district, to the manufacturer of the door. And I don't know who manufactures that door, but they probably have some deep corporate pockets. Who are you going to sue? An underpaid school teacher? Or a big corporation with deep pockets? I mentioned yesterday that President Biden would meet with Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to discuss Biden's plan to fight high inflation. But it's not Biden's job, it's the Fed's job. Biden said bringing down inflation has become his top domestic priority. Really? So why do we have all of these oil rigs sitting dormant, a pipeline that's not flowing? But he said he would not interfere in the Fed's role in containing rising prices. They're already out there modifying the gas pumps to handle a 4-digit price, like instead of $9, $10 and more. Biden told reporters during his meeting with Powell, recently confirmed to a second term, Republicans blame Biden for inflation and the threat of a recession, but Biden says the root of the problem is Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has worsened supply chain disruptions and driven up oil prices. So let's send him another $38 billion. It's your money, not his. And this one, a Washington, D.C. jury yesterday found prominent Democratic lawyer Michael Sussman not guilty of lying to investigators in a 2016 meeting in which he shared data on an alleged link between Trump Tower and Russia's Alfa Bank that was later debunked. He lied to the FBI. It's been proven that he lied, and he gets acquitted. How's that even possible? Now, for those of you that have watched a TV show I really liked that has recently ended called Bull, there's a science behind jury selection, where they use a mock jury and they try to read the minds of the people who are going to sit on the jury. and choose the ones that will be sympathetic to their case. This is a real science. It really exists. Well, this jury that acquitted Michael Sussman for lying to the FBI after it was proved that he did lie to the FBI. Well, Special Counsel John Durham, a holdover appointed during the Trump administration, accused Sussman of hiding his ties to Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign when he brought the allegations with then FBI General Counsel Jim Baker. Sussman said the jury recognized he told the truth and was falsely accused. Durham, now Gwadir is the name given to that jury selection process. Durham, who was assigned to seek signs of misconduct during the investigation into former President Donald Trump's ties to Russia, said in a statement he was disappointed but respected the jury's decision. Now, I want you to Google this yourself, okay, so it becomes your knowledge, not just some guy talking on the internet. How many people in that jury donated money to Hillary Clinton's campaign fund? Check it out. I think you'll be surprised that those people were even allowed to be on that jury. A central Ukraine court yesterday sentenced 2 Russian soldiers to 11.5 years in prison in connection with the shelling of the town of Derhachi, north of Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine. The court found these 2 soldiers whose name, I don't want to work that hard to try to pronounce them. Basically, it was a Russian artillery driver and a gunner guilty of shelling the town from Russia. The guilt of Bobakin and Ivanov, there we go, has been proven in full. Judge Evan Bolibok told the courtroom. Prosecutors said the men shelled an educational facility, although no casualties were reported. Defense lawyers said the men were following orders. The decision was the second guilty verdict handed against Russian soldiers involved in the invasion of Ukraine. And here's a leak, there's a leak, everywhere a leak. And I've got another tech leak headline for you, but this one's back to the Supreme Court. Officials there are stepping up their investigation into who leaked the draft of the decision that would potentially overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion nationwide. CNN reporting Tuesday cited 3 sources with knowledge of the situation. Several law clerks have been ordered to turn over cell phone records and sign affidavits, according to CNN. The unprecedented inquiry into the rare leak has increased already high tensions at the court, as the newly strengthened conservative majority is expected to soon overturn precedents that established a constitutional right to have an abortion up to the point of fetal viability at about 22 weeks. So there's a line in the sand at 22 weeks. Okay, maybe now it's a real person. Life begins at conception. End of story. Shanghai is easing their COVID-19 restrictions after a 2-month lockdown. Schools will partially reopen. Shopping malls, supermarkets, pharmacies, and convenience stores will reopen slowly at up to 75% of capacity. Movie theaters and gyms will remain closed. The epidemic has been effectively controlled, According to Shanghai's mayor, Zhang Ming, officials said in early May they were shooting for a June 1st reopening. And this is a real good one. The Supreme Court on Tuesday temporarily blocked Texas law that restricts social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube from moderating content. The law, HB 20, prohibits large social media platforms from banning and blocking posts and accounts. Justices Elena Kagan, Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch dissented from the 5-4 majority, with Alito writing for himself, Thomas, and Gorsuch that the Texas law is groundbreaking and addresses the power of dominant social media corporations to shape public discussion and, yes, eventually influence elections. The law is being challenged by tech industry advocacy groups who called HB 20 an unprecedented assault on the editorial discretion of private websites. No, these aren't private websites. These are publicly traded companies that could force them to disseminate everything from Russian propaganda to hate speech. Now, there's a big difference between hate speech and someone's opinion, okay? I'm against violence, I'm against hate speech, I'm against racism. CFRN stands against all these things all day, every day. So, Supreme Court temporarily blocking the Texas social media law. Hurricane Agatha was downgraded to a tropical depression on Tuesday as it rapidly weakened, crossing Mexico after slamming into the country's Pacific coast. Agatha, which made landfall with top sustained winds of 105 miles per hour, was the most powerful May storm ever to come ashore during the Pacific hurricane season. Forecasters warned that remnants of the storm could redevelop into a tropical storm as it heads east over the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico near Cuba. If it does regain that strength, it would be called Alex, the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. Some models show the storm bringing rain to South and Central Florida around the middle of next week. Then a couple of tech headlines. Leak, everywhere a leak. A leaked survey shows widespread dissatisfaction among Nike's tech workers. Employees who responded to the annual survey sounded the alarm on burnout, inept leadership, and a never-ending reorganization. Conditions some say are contributing to attrition at the company. The results come as Nike works to establish itself as a tech leader. I thought they were a tennis shoe company, with ambitious plans from everything from direct-to-consumer sales to the metaverse, as it tries to hire and retain tech talent. In 48 of 51 categories surveyed, tech workers rated their job satisfaction below employees in other parts of the company. Employees wrote that leadership does not inspire confidence and that leaders are burning out their best resources. One worker said, if Nike fails to listen to what tech workers want, this whole company is going to fail. Wonder how much those Nike shoes would be worth on eBay then. More or less? I don't know. I guess I'll ask my buddy Ken Jennings. He might know. Senior tech correspondent Adam Rogers has been poking around on a website called Blind, which is part job board, part social network for techies, and he discovered just how much everyone is freaking the heck out. Netflix password crackdown is already a hot mess. If you're an Netflix customer, you know that there's now a tiered payment program. You can show on one screen or two screens, three screens, four screens with the same password. Before, you weren't supposed to use more than three, but so many people were, it was hurting the earnings at Netflix. So they had to do something, and I think that was a smart business move. Now, the company's been trialing the new policy in Costa Rica, Chile, and Peru. Users told the rest of the world they hadn't seen any enforcement, and the policy itself they found very confusing. Multiple venture capitalists have blasted out warnings to founders on economic doom. Turbulent times are on the horizon, and venture capitalists are cautioning their portfolio companies to cut costs and conserve cash. Elon Musk told the Tesla executive staff to return to the office or find a new job. As per Bloomberg, Musk sent an email to workers saying they must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean minimum, he said, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla for good. Although Musk did not confirm the email's authenticity, he made his thoughts clear on the matter in a very blunt Twitter post. So if you follow Elon Musk on Twitter, you've probably seen it. Getting hired at the video giant YouTube is no easy feat, with employees expected to be creative while also having technical skills. Current and former employees, as well as its vice president of people operations. I love the things that we get so creative creating to give a person a sense of importance. The vice president of people operations gave out insight on how to stand out as an applicant. You can Google the full story. Fully driverless cars. Now, some of you might remember the song, if you're old enough, from the 60s, about the double-decker bus. What? No driver on the top? Fully driverless cars. I think that's a Joni Mitchell song. One of the greatest songwriters ever. Fully driverless cars have hit the streets of Miami and Austin. For the first time, drivers in these two cities are sharing the streets with a fleet of cars with no human behind the wheel for safety. Be careful out there. There's an update coming for your iPhone's lock screen. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman writes, iOS 16 and the iPhone 14 will offer wallpapers with widget-like capabilities and an always-on lock screens. Now, widget-like capabilities means that on your home screen you can have the weather, you can have, think back to the days of Yahoo. They were the first folks to, I think, well, the term widget has been around for a long time. But as it relates to the internet and tech, I think Yahoo was the first to give users access to all these different widgets, calendars and weathers and just a ton of stuff. And that's it. Valerie just sent me over a few moments ago the recap. So let me grab it and put it in my recap channel. Let me just make it screen ready. different screen resolutions are what causes us to have to do this. Okay. Now we're good to go. We are in week 200 of Logic 247. What is Logic 247, you might ask? It's our around-the-clock, 24/7 Emini alert service. But along with the E-minis, it includes crude, gold, silver, the euro, and now bonds. What's the qualification for an alert? Whenever opportunity presents itself. Now, the Logic Alert channel opens Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when the global Globex markets open. Most traders think of the trading week starting Monday morning at 9:30 when Wall Street opens, but many of us around the world are very busy on Sunday night starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. So since the channel opened for business this week, we've issued a total of 49 alerts, 7 never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 2. We've had 40 actionable alerts, of which 8 or 20% would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade, less when possible, using market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders. Now, the Logic alerts are based on current price action. Our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, they're based on historic price action. So if you want to grab a screenshot of this, go ahead and do it. Okay. Now normally I get the CTAs out shortly after the Globex open. I was running a little late last night. I had a life-changing experience yesterday. I went from Cox to the Dish Network. So the guy was here for hours getting it installed and trying to teach us how to, use the remote and all of that. So any of you out there on the Dish Network, if you have any tips or tricks, and we have the newest, latest model, which he says is completely different from the VIP name that they had given one of their earlier rollouts. I forget what ours is called now. So I'll be spending a few days learning how to use it properly. It's got a DVR, you can record your shows. I just got tired of being ripped off by Cox. Now I'm going to keep my business internet because for $185 a month I get unlimited bandwidth, which means I can stream around the clock, up and down. So I'm keeping that. But I had a separate internet package including TV for my family downstairs, and that was running me $250 a month. So since I have unlimited bandwidth in the office, anybody with a device in the house is going to have to connect to my business internet, which is perfectly fine. And so we got rid of a $250 a month bill and got it down to $90. So that's why the alerts didn't come out till later. Now, you'll notice there's 2 numbers for each market. You probably don't trade all these markets, and that's okay. You only need 1 or 2 markets to help you get your goal for the day. What you should do is when this static report is published, the numbers are good for the entire session. Once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. So at 8 p.m. Eastern last night, you should have made note of where price was on whatever market it is you trade. We'll use the S&P as an example. Okay, at 8 p.m. you make note of where price is, and then going forward, the entire session, which goes until 5 p.m. this afternoon, if price starts trending up towards 41.61, that's bullish. If price starts trending down towards 41.32, that's bearish. In either case, our strategy will look for opportunities to be long the market or short the market. And that's where you're going to use Logic 247, which is based on current price action, and everything you learn in the live training room every single day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market based upon what the chart is telling you to do. There's no guesswork here, okay? And there's no secrets, there's no magic. Everything we do is based on logic, okay? And by logic, I don't even mean Logic 247, I just mean common sense. Price can only do three things: go up, go down, go sideways. Our strategy and our indicators help you identify what the market's trying to do. Is it trying to go up? Is it trying to go down? If it's rolling sideways, we know to stay away from it. But once it becomes evident it's trying to go higher, we don't need to beat the market. We just need to ride the coattails of the market long enough to get our goal for the day. Whether the market's moving up or, like today, moving down. Okay? So, with that, let's go to a daily chart of the S&P 500 E-mini futures. I'll take a sip from my coffee beverage before I continue. It's good. I may do it again in a minute. Okay, here's what's happened. Market put in a high back here, March 29th. And then we put in a low on May 20th. That's what's called a downtrend. Okay. Now you'll notice the pullback to the BBC, it holds more often than it doesn't. But we know eventually it won't hold. Okay, that's what keeps the markets exciting instead of flatlining. Once we put in this low on the 20th, we had a bullish day, we had a doji, and then right here, red and falling, which is bearish, turned to blue and climbing, which is bullish. So we pulled on the 26th, we pulled right up to the daily BBC, spiked above it, but couldn't close above it. We closed just below it. Following session, May 27th, we managed to push above the BBC, above the 38% reverse fib, and we almost made it to the 50% reverse fib. Okay, now here's yesterday, here's today. We've pulled back to the BBC, we've got blue and climbing. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So, what we'll be watching for today from the big picture is, where do we close? Do we close above the BBC? If so, even if we close at it, then we can anticipate another leg to the upside. If, however, today we close below the BBC, and especially if we close below blue and climbing, then this was a head fake, a dead cat bounce, whatever label you want to give it, and we're probably headed back to test this low and then this low. Now, I always start out with a daily chart because that's where the institutional traders are looking at daily, weekly, and monthly charts. They watch those, and it's the institutional money that moves the markets. Okay, we're just along for the ride. And so by looking at the larger time frame, we have a clear indication of what the big money's seeing, what they're thinking, and where are they putting their money to work. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they on the sidelines? Okay. Now, should we get a strong finish to today, this high 42.02 1/4 is very important. And then the 50% reverse fib at 42.20. Then the 62% reverse fib at 43.17. Once we get a close above that 62% reverse fib, I will take down the reverse fibs, and instead of drawing from the high to the low as you do in a downtrend, I'll be drawing from the low to the high as you do in an uptrend. So, you know, the daily chart is not something you stare at all day. Whatever market you trade, you should look at the daily chart when you sit down to start your trading session. See what the big boys, the big money, the deep pockets are up to, and then go to the time frame that I call my roadmap. Okay. And then, of course, use your smaller time frame to help you navigate your entry and your stop loss. On the alerts, we do not want to risk more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, based on market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders. So here's where the market opened last night. They had a slightly higher gap open. Okay. Okay, here's June 1st. Okay, just want to make sure my chart was right. Yep. Okay. So we opened, we got above the BBC, we rallied up to this previous swing high, and once the market shows us resistance, we expect it to remain resistance until proven otherwise. And there it is, horizontal line, see it? Resistance, resistance. Now yesterday on the show, I drew in this window of opportunity. Filled once, twice, thrice, 4 times. Our goal is not to just give you alerts so that you can trade them and make money. Our goal is to teach you how to trade. Our goal is to teach you how to spot windows of opportunity, just like this. In fact, on yesterday's show, when I drew this in, I said our goal is to teach you to spot these windows of opportunity yourself. Okay? All right. And price was, during the show, price was probably way up here at the time I drew that in. You can go back and watch tomorrow's show, yesterday's show. All of our shows are archived at youtube.com/CFRN. Okay? So we finally triggered on the short side. We got below the BBC. The trigger was 41.32. And we dropped to 41.30. It's exactly 2 points, $100 per contract traded. Then we pull back to the BBC where we find resistance. Pull back holds more often than it doesn't. Send us back down through the trigger to the target. The target on a short alert is always the zone below, on a long the zone above. Okay, so this zone is 41.25/41.26, and the low of this candle was 41.25.75. So we triggered 32, and we dropped to the target 26. That's 6 points, $50 a point, $300 per contract traded. And then we get back above the trigger, we drop again. This time we get 2.5 points. Pull up to the BBC, pull back holds. We drop again to 41.27. That's 5 points, at $50 a point, $250 per contract traded. Then we got above the BBC. We triggered 41.61. We put in a high at 41.65. And why did price stop there? Well, as in most cases, you just have to look left. So, from 41.61 to 41.65, that's 4 points, $50 a point. The market made $200 per contract traded there. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triggers. Remember, once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. And then we got this big move, which took us right through the zone. We went from 41.32 to 41.26. Again, that's another 6 points at $50 a point, $300 per contract traded. And then we traded through this zone. Okay, we took out now the support that was put in right here yesterday. Okay, price came down, price went up, and then we began to drop. Hold on for me 1 second, guys. My device, which starts with an A, I don't want to say her name and set her off again. She just started talking. I thought people were out in the hallway making noise, and it wasn't. Anyway, so then what happens? On this move, we go right through the zone. We catch some support, like we did here. And we continue to the zone below, where we've been doing some wide-ranging consolidation. Only 3 things happen at a zone. The most likely is consolidation. The second most likely is rejection. The third and least likely is the slice. That's when price slices through a zone like it's not even there. Now what typically happens on a slice, which is only about 10% of the time, price slices through the zone, and then it retraces back to the zone and slices through, and then it continues in the direction of the slice. Here we had a candle that sliced through, came back, continued in the direction of the slice. So that's what happened with the S&P. Let's go to the Dow. Okay, no trigger on the long side. Triggered on the short side at 32,850 and went straight to the target. Remember, on a short, the final trade to logic alerts have multiple targets, but the CTA is just the entry, and on a short, the zone below. On a long, the target is the zone above. Okay. So from 32,850, we dropped to the zone at 32,750. The zone is 745/750. So from 850 to 750, it's 100 points at $5 a point, $500 per contract traded. On the Russell. Okay, tighten this up. Extend this out. Okay, Now this swing high right here was 79.3. We went 3 ticks over the line. Now, this is why you use multiple time frames. This is why you have a smaller time frame than a 30-minute to help you with your entries and setting your stops. Is it possible you could have gotten stopped out on that trade? Absolutely. Getting stopped out is as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life. And I'm forever meeting traders who have spent years and 10 upon 10 upon tens of thousands of dollars looking for a holy grail that would allow them to not ever have to know the agony of defeat and get stopped out again. That doesn't exist. It can't exist. It defies the laws of science, physics, and God. There can be no such thing, because the markets are moved, again, by the institutional money, but you never know at any moment in time when some institution is going to come in with a huge buy order or a huge sell order and move the market. What you have to learn to do is accept the stop out with grace and just move on to the next trade. You know, sometimes, especially in the early going, when a trader gets stopped down, there's a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth. You didn't do anything wrong. If you understand your methodology and your strategy and you followed all of the rules and all of the conditions were present for you to do what you did. Now, if you fudged, if you broke the rule a little bit and you got stopped out, that's on you. If you followed everything as it's laid out and you got stopped out, you got stopped out. You move on to the next trade. There is no one out there. There is no software out there. There is no algorithm out there that can prevent you from being stopped out. The sooner you get that in your head and learn to accept a stop out with grace, okay? When we lose money, let's face it, it doesn't make us want to dance in the street. When you do make money, you should also not dance in the street. Because if you're the type of trader, when you have a good day, you're dancing on your desktop, you're the type of trader who tomorrow, you're going to be curled up under your desk in a fetal position. Okay? We have to become emotionally disconnected from the outcome of each individual trade. It's where we stand at the end of the day, the week, the month, the quarter, whatever your yardstick is. That's what matters, not the outcome of any one individual trade. And if you'll use bracket orders with hard stops, you don't ever have to worry about any one trade blowing up your account. If you're not willing to follow that, if you're not willing to be patient and exercise self-discipline until opportunity actually shows up and shows you the opportunity on your chart, there's no way you can become a consistently profitable trader. Now, we can give you the knowledge, we can give you the tools, we can provide the support. But what you have to find within yourself is patience and self-discipline. If you've struggled in the past with different strategies and methodologies, I don't know if you had support, I don't know how much training you had, I don't know if you had unfettered access to the people doing the teaching and the training, I don't know if you just bought a book or a video, or if you hired a team. And again, back to what I said at the opening of the show. When you become a passport holder, you're hiring a team to help you learn how to trade. Now, I wish I could tell you that a passport would guarantee you financial success in the markets forever. But I can't do that. I answer to a higher authority. I want to sleep at night. Even though we give you the tools of the trade and the knowledge to use the tools, we don't know what you're going to do with them. We don't know if you're going to be patient and wait for an opportunity to present itself. We don't know if you're even going to be patient enough to learn how to spot a window of opportunity. That's why when you become a passport holder, we want you to spend time in the simulator, trading along in the live training room, until you put together 10 consecutive days in a row where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less. Once you accomplish that, our 24/20 blueprint will give you the green light to go live with one contract. Now that you're trading real money, your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. Once you do that, the blueprint will give you the green light to add a second contract. But there's a huge difference between the first and second contract. The first contract is funded with your startup capital. The second contract is funded with actual profit you earned in the market. The blueprint will tell you when it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, number 10. But you only add one at a time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. If you'll follow that, it will make it much more difficult to blow up another account. If you're not willing to follow that, you probably will blow up another account. It's just the truth about trading. Okay. So on the Russell, we had 3 little ticks, resulted in a stop out. Then we had a trigger that took us right to the target. The zone is 1848/49. From 59 to 49, that's 10 points. $50 a point, $500 per contract traded. Now, if you've been paying attention on the S&P, on the Dow, and now on the Russell, I've said $500 per contract about 8 times. Okay? We've had triggers that paid more, triggers that paid less, but $500 per contract traded has shown up numerous times across the S&P, the Dow, and the Russell. Let's go to the NQ. Let's see what we got cooking over here. 12,777 was the long trigger, and 12,598 was the short trigger. The vertical line right here separates today, Wednesday, from yesterday, Tuesday. So we opened, tried to go higher. There wasn't enough buying support, so we began to drop, and we dropped, and then we pulled back to the, this is a pullback that held, this is a pullback that held, and after this pullback held, we dropped through the trigger at 598 down to 581. That's 17 points at $20 a point. $340 per contract traded. Then we got above the BBC. We took out the previous resistance. See the horizontal line right there? See that resistance? We took it out. We triggered 777, and it took us up to 823. That's $900 roughly per contract traded. Then price got back below the BBC, triggered the short side, And from 598, we dropped to 554. So 98 minus 54. It's 44 points, $20 a point, $880 per contract traded. Right there. And then we got back above the trigger, and we did another back-to-back $880 per contract traded, back above the trigger, $880 per contract traded. And then we actually traded through the zone. First we sliced through it. Okay, this was a red candle all the way down to here. And then price retraced to the zone it sliced through, and then it continued in the direction of the slice. Now, look at this low from yesterday. Look at my horizontal line. You see how simple it can be to spot areas where there's a high probability of there being potential support or potential resistance? This high up here. Follow the horizontal line to the left. You see it? There. There. We do it again. You see it? It's not a surprise. Now, could price have just powered through that obstacle? Yes. But we have to be conservative. We have to anticipate that it's going to be resistance until proven otherwise. Okay? It's a beautiful trade to the upside. These trades to the downside. We hit an area that we expected to be support. Price pulled back to the BBC. And now, this candle here, we got red and falling overhead. So from 12,484 down to 12,464. That's about $400 per contract traded. And then if price takes out these lows, there's a nice window of opportunity down here. 440 down to 400. $800 per contract traded if price enters the window of opportunity and makes it all the way down. But again, our more experienced traders won't wait for this. They'll be in here and out here and have their goal for the day. If they didn't already get it here, 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 or here. Now, here you can see the price is trending up, okay, towards this trigger. There's so much room to get your goal for the day before you even get to the trigger. Same thing here on the downside, okay? Bit of leg, goal for the day, pull back to the BBC, and then again, goal for the day before you even got to the trigger. The more familiar you get with the strategy, the more questions you ask in the live training room, in the discussion groups, in the workshops, the sooner you're going to be able to look at one of these charts and read it like a newspaper or an Agatha Christie mystery novel. Okay, that covers all the indices. Let's go to crude oil. No trigger on the short side. Okay. Now notice here we open. We get above the BBC. We find resistance at the zone. We finally get through the zone. And we find resistance at the zone. Now these zones were published. Normally they're published Monday morning, but because of the Monday holiday, they were published Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. yesterday. This is Wednesday. Okay. Once the zones are published, they're not changed for the entire week. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009. So we have well over a decade of data that tells us how price will potentially behave around a weekly zone. You got to stay nimble, because in the world of trading, anything can happen. And so you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a hard stop in place. You should be using a bracket order. You should know where your target is. All right. The long trigger last night, 117.20, took us up to 117.87, $670 per contract traded. And then we come back to the zone down here where we find support. And then we run right up to the trigger and get rejected. Price behaves around the CTAs very much the same as it behaves around the weekly trading zones. Why? Because they're both important prices, important areas, and important prices and important areas are almost always tested. Just remember, once an alert triggers, there's a high probability it's going to trigger again, and maybe again, and maybe even again. We're on the Q contract for gold. Okay. Alright, this trigger here was not our friend. I'm picking up the language from The Irishman, the movie. We hit 51 and we only made it up to, well, we made it up $60. We got back below the trigger, ran up again. This time $130 per contract traded. And then we got back below the trigger, ran it again, and it was $190 per contract traded. Then back below the trigger, and another trigger, and this time it was another $190 per contract traded. That's just on the long side. 1, 2, 3, 4 triggers, and number 5 could be on tap. We'll see. On the short side, 1837 was the trigger, and we went down to 1836. That's exactly $100 per contract traded. We triggered again. That's $180 per contract traded. We got back above the trigger, down we came again. To 1832, that's $500 per contract traded. And we got back above the trigger, dropped again, back above the trigger. These pullbacks held. On this one, we dropped to 33.6, we'll call it 34. So that's $340 per contract traded. And then back above the trigger, pull back held, right? And down we go to 1830.2. So that's $680 per contract traded. So just on gold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opportunities to get your goal for the day and then some on the short side. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities, 3 opportunities to get your goal for the day and then some on the long side. It's just one market. Now, once price started this move above the BBC, you see how, especially once we got above 1842, now price is always trying to get to a zone. From the moment the markets open to the markets close Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, price is always trying to get to a zone, either the zone below, like it did here, failed to make it all the way to the zone here, but once price crossed above this zone, where did it run to? The zone. It spiked it and gave us a trigger. So always ask yourself, where's price related to the BBC? If you're asking yourself that question here, you know it's trying to get to the zone below. And once it got above, what did it do? It went to the zone above, almost to the tick. Then once it got back below the BBC, it's headed for the zone below. Okay? Trading's not easy, but give us some time to teach you, to train you, to work with you. And it still won't be easy, but it can be simple. Silver. Silver, silver, silver. Now when silver moves $1, that's worth $5,000 per contract traded. When silver moves 2 pennies, that's worth $100 per contract traded. So here's where we opened last night. The trigger was 21.44, and we dropped to 21.42, $100 per contract traded. Then back above the trigger, and then down we come again. This time we make it to 42.5, so that's 1.5 points. 2 points is $100. We get back above the trigger, we drop again. This time 3 pennies, which is $150 per contract traded. Back above the trigger. And on this drop, we made it to 42, $100 per contract traded. That was on the short side. On the long side, we ran right up to the target. From 21.70 to 21.92. That's $1,100 per contract traded. And then price pulled back, got below the trigger, and gave you another $1,100 per contract trade. These two trades back to back, $2,200, almost half the price of the Passport. Okay, on to the euro. No trigger on the long side. Trigger on the short side. Okay, now let me explain how to calculate potential profit on the euro. Okay, at 107,600 down to 107,500. So in other words, 100 ticks from 600 down to 500. That's $125 per contract traded. So the market's opened, we consolidate at the weekly zone for a few hours, we get red and falling, we take a drop from 235, we make it down to 130. So that's about $130 per contract traded. And then back above the trigger, and this time we go to the target at 105, from 235 to 105. Remember, 100 ticks is $125 per contract traded. So the low was 105. So that would be 130 ticks. 100 ticks is $125 per contract traded. So you got it once, you got it twice, you got it 3 times, and then you got it a 4th time. Once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. And then we got this big drop, and now we're below this zone. And we still got this zone down below. Okay. If we take out this low, there's lots of opportunity down below. All right, the last market is bonds. Now this is how we take care of our family. When they hire us to go to work for them, which is in essence what you're doing when you become a passport holder. You're hiring us to help you learn how to trade. So we had a number of members that asked if we could do bonds. And I said, yes, we can do bonds. And so, on the bonds last night, the long side was 139.21, and it took us to a high of 140. That's an acceptable trade and an acceptable dollar amount. The short trigger was 139.08. Now here we dropped 6 ticks, and then we get back above the trigger, drop again. There's only 3 ticks there. Then we get back above the trigger, we drop again. We get down to 138.29, then back above the trigger, trigger again, down to 139. It's 8 ticks. Then we have these couple of long triggers here, and then we get the big move to the downside. And by the way, we're already below the lowest weekly zone for the bonds. Okay. Now we've still got 2 more trading days left in the week. By the end of the week, we expect the bond price to be at or above the lowest weekly trading zone. Over the last decade plus, have there been weeks when 1 or 2 of the markets either close the week above the highest zone or below the lowest zone? Yes, there have been. Okay? It's not a common thing, but it happens. Could this be a week that it happens? Could be. I don't read tea leaves. I don't have crystal balls. All I can do is trade what's in front of me. And so this trigger at 139.08 took us down to a low of 138.06. And I think to a bond trader, that's a pretty fair trade. And because we got red and falling overhead, if we take out this low, we could continue dropping. Okay? Alright. So that takes us around the world, through all the markets. We'll go back and glance at the daily. ES. Okay? See what's happened? We've come down. We've spiked daily BBC. The buyers haven't given up yet. Okay. We draw a little trend line across there. We break that trend line, then chances are we're headed to the 50% reverse fib. If we fail to break that trend line, and if we close the session below the BBC, that's bearish. If we close below blue and climbing, that's very bearish. Okay. Now, when we're around the daily BBC, it's not uncommon to spend a couple, 3 days consolidating at or around the daily BBC. But again, I'm not a fortune teller, so we're going to just keep you apprised every step of the way, what's happening in the big picture, the small picture, and we're going to teach you everything we know about trading, how to use all the indicators that we have, which we only have a couple. Our strategy is so simple, but just know this, 9 out of 10 traders will ultimately fail because they do not have a teacher. We provide a teacher to every passport holder, 2 hours a day, every trading day. So does that guarantee you're going to become the 1 out of 10? No. But at least you have a fighting chance. Tradings are not easy. After all these years and all this time, I still can't tell you it's easy. But I can tell you that if you have a teacher, if you have a business plan, if you have a trading plan, it can be simple. Let's go to our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about being faithful. No, we didn't. We talked, I think, about leadership. Nope, then we talked about procrastination. What happened to my notes here? Here we go. Most of us recognize that we need some kind of change in our life. Who are you going to call? Not Ghostbusters. You're going to call on the name of God. And here's how God changes us. Part 1. In 2 Timothy 3:16 we read, it corrects us when we are wrong and teaches us to do what is right. And you know the difference between wrong and right. Now, we have ways of justifying certain actions under certain conditions.
Right now. Please try a little later.
Alexa, stop. I don't know. She wants to get busy today. One of the ways God changes us is through His Word. Paul tells us all Scripture is inspired by God and is useful to teach us what is true and to make us realize what is wrong in our lives. It corrects us when we are wrong and teaches us to do what is right. God uses it to prepare and equip His people to do every good work. The tale is told of a converted cannibal in the South Sea Islands. He was sitting by a large pot reading a Bible when an anthropologist approached him and asked, "What are you doing?" The man replied, "I'm reading the Bible." The anthropologist scoffed and said, Don't you know that modern civilized man has rejected that book? It's nothing but a pack of lies. You shouldn't even waste your time reading it. The man looked him over from head to toe and slowly replied, "Sir, if it weren't for this book, you would be in that pot." Remember, the guy was a converted cannibal from the South Sea Islands. The Word of God had changed his life and his appetite. If you're serious about changing your life and your appetite, you have to get into the Bible. You need to read it, study it, memorize it, meditate on it, speak it, and apply it. Or listen to it. In this modern age of technology, you can just pop in your earbuds, open up your phone, go to the dailyaudiobible.com app, and in 1 year, just investing 20 minutes a day, you get through the entire Bible in 1 year. And I know I bring that up a lot, and it's not because they're a sponsor of our show. It's because I really think it will help you. So again, whether we listen to it, we need to read it, study it, memorize it, meditate on it, speak it, and apply it. But maybe you say, yeah, but my faith is weak. Okay. Are you reading your Bible regularly? Are you studying it? Are you memorizing scriptures? If the answer is no, then how do you expect your faith to grow? The Bible says in Romans 10:17, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. Here's the bottom line. The Spirit of God uses the Word of God to make us more like the Son of God. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.